we decided to call this episode "New Hook, New Look." Well, first off, because like we all know, Alex Newhook got traded to the Montreal Canadiens and now signed within like a week or two ago. Signed a 4-year deal at $2.9 million. So, and that was to be expected once the trade was made. And thinking the history that Newhook has with Kent Hughes, I think, Anthony, this is the trade that you were anticipating. That of a young but kind of
established player,
NHL player. He's already a Stanley Cup champion, which I think is huge for a player that experienced that at I'm pretty sure it was his rookie season when they won. So for a player at a young age to experience that, I truly believe they might have a bit more of a drive to do what they can to help the team to get there. And you could add guys like Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield that were there too at their young age and at their young time in their career. For sure, they're going to want to do whatever they can to get that feeling again, knowing, oh my God, we're fighting for the Stanley Cup.
And you know what? And I know we when you have conversations about Stanley Cup finalists or playoff contenders, always have that strong veteran. You always need a veteran in your room to keep the team, the room calm and whatever case may be, right? Now, I had this conversation with someone not long ago, and I said, the future of the Montreal Canadiens is a young team. Young team. We're building on Suzuki now. No more Carey Price. Sorry, it hurts to say that out loud, but it's Suzuki's team. And
it's a fact, though.
And Suzuki, quote unquote, is still considered a young player in his team.
Yeah.
And then everybody around him, besides the Gallagher and the Andersons, where's the veteran? Where's your veteran?
Matheson.
But hold on a second. Not only that, I don't even think that Hughes wants that kind of veteran. You have veterans like, these experienced Stanley Cup contenders or finalists or championships like Newhook, who's coming into a team with that kind of experience. So that kind of replaces.
That's true.
Having a veteran on your team, you have someone who's been there,
and they can. He's 22 years old.
But imagine that's insane. Right? So I'm
not
saying I'm not saying
like a young vet.
I'm not saying that please don't go get a veteran, but I think what Hughes is trying to do is build this team young, but have these young players. Some of them have that experience, like the Suzuki's, who went to the Stanley Cup Finals and has that experience. The Newhook, who won a cup. That kind of somewhat replaces your quote-unquote veteran, if you think about it, right?
I don't think there's any vets who are available that fit the mold of the Montreal Canadiens, that's speedy, fast, skillful. I think all the vets now are slowly transitioning to the old style of hockey, whereas now all the new style players are younger players, and teams are going towards these younger players. And you see that trend. Like, there's very little room for Perry's anymore. He can't skate anymore. Things like that. There's a lot of players who are going to be in that category soon.
And someone like that you can pick up at deadline. But before, Sam, you say what you got to say, I want to just finish off Zook's point. I don't know if you guys heard Nate Thompson's interview on 690 this week.
No, but I know he announced his retirement. Yeah.
They asked him a question in regards to can you compare the league now from before when you started or whatever? I forgot the exact question. And he straight out said, this is the new generation, a young, it's a young league. There's no room for the veterans, the old people. It's a fast, speedy, young culture.
Is. Yeah. And actually, to both those points, yours and Zook's, I think Kent Hughes wants to build this team young, so these young guys grow together. And they become the core. Eventually, in their prime age, they become the core veterans to whichever young players are going to come in 5, 6, 7 years from now.
And if you pay attention, he's loading up with a lot of first rounders or previous first rounders, which is good. People, he wasn't in the first round for no reason. Alex Newhook. Same thing with Kirby Doc. And all the players in it's all fucking first rounders. They're good players.
This is the hope, but I think that's the hope, is that this is another Kirby Doc situation.
Did you see how fast this kid is, dude? I've never seen a player like
very
this.
Fast.
He's fucking insane. And his hands are great.
And I don't think Colorado give him enough ice time to prove what
he's in the wrong situation. Exactly.
But unfortunately, my God, you look at the skill and talent on that team.
That's what I'm saying. No, but also where they are.
Well, I mean, they well, at the same time too, are you going to give Newhook a chance, or are you going to ride with McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, Makar? fucking look Arturi Lehkonen in
They
the
have no
playoffs.
choice.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
So Kadri was there too as a centerman. Fuck, it was hard. Nishu, you talk about Nishushkin too before.
I'm pretty sure
they
didn't want to trade him though. In a perfect world, they may have kept him for the longer ride because soon
Maybe.
enough, all those players are going to get older, and he's still going to be young, and he's a fast skater.
Newhook said it himself, and like maybe in the playoffs he should have capitalized on some of the opportunities he's given. He admitted that
he didn't have a bad playoff though.
He didn't have a bad playoff, but he didn't have a good one either. But like neither did the whole team. There were, I think Colorado. No, I know. I think they were a little bit fatigued, but
yeah.
But at the same time, too, like if you're averaging 8 to 10 minutes a game, and he still finished the season with 14 goals.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
look, he could be like a better version of like a.
If he was on the
what's his name, Harvey Pinard type,
dude,
but he's bigger than him, right?
Dude, if he would have been on the Montreal Canadiens, he would have been top 5 in scoring with Doc at 14, Hoffman at 14, Suzuki at 20,
and Harvey Pinard at 14. I think.
Oh my God, Pinard too had 14.
But that's what I'm saying.
And this is with 8 minutes of ice time.
Imagine. You're averaging. Well, because he is going to be on the power play. He got a lot of power play minutes.
Mm.
It helps when you have guys like McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar on your team. Like let's be honest.
They can use his speed, man. They can use his speed.
He's fast and and it's so funny. Like after they signed him. Now more than ever, I'm trying to picture where in the lineup is he going to play.
I think he slots in. I think he slots in on the third line to start. To be honest with you, that's just. Okay. But I think he's going to be. There was a name that you mentioned, Zook, but I think he's going to have a role very similar to that of Paul Byron.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that can take a lot of different places. Yep. Should there be injuries? He could easily climb up to the first line, second line. I think he's got a solid spot on the third line. On a night where the roster's packed, or maybe he's not playing well, or the fourth line needs a little boost. Maybe he goes down to the fourth. All around, like we haven't said it yet, but I think this is an absolute steal considering it's 4 years at that price. That just another example of Kent Hughes making an absolutely wonderful move that's going to open up the doors.
Genius.
Again, this season, sorry guys, but I'm going to continue on the same, I guess, emotional path of Anthony when he started. I think it's going to be another tough year ahead. But again, this type of signing, let's stay on track, or let me stay on track rather than be Mr. Tangent Man over here. I think that could be one of my other nicknames. But
Chris,
long story short is that this is another contract that we have that's going to enable us to have space for other players to come in. You got a player who's going to be very, very dynamic, who can slide up and down the roster very easily. He fits the Kent Hughes mold perfectly in the speed and skill section. He's a little bit small for sure. But I also want to go to one last point. Anthony mentioned there was an interview with Nate Thompson. Nate Thompson actually, I don't want to say he went out of his way, but he played with Marty St. Louis, and he said it was one of his favorite, it was one of the most impactful players on his own personal career. And he said, again, this is another guy who's reemphasizing the Canadians have possibly one of the best guys. And again, to come full circle, can Marty get more out of this kid than they were getting in Colorado, whether it be ice time or just not being able to, let's say, flourish to a certain degree? Look, great contract, very interesting player, dynamic player, open for all sorts of things to happen.
He was a first rounder. Which pick again?
16th overall.
I think it was 16th. Yeah,
16th.
Okay.
Yeah, actually,
we said this a couple of episodes ago where, with the contract that was built of Suzuki and Caulfield, and now Newhook and Doc, we might have, if all goes well, again, I'm just putting my hopes up out there, but we might have a contending Stanley Cup team in 3-4 years, averaging at $5 million a player,
which means we could get that elite fucking player.
But yes, but that's where it's going to slide in, because next summer, it's not this year. This year, I will repeat it. It's going to be my fucking mantra for the year. Kent Hughes has to get rid of the bad contracts. If he is successful in getting rid of the bad contracts, I swear to God,
what's a bad contract? Who?
Gallagher. Like Gallagher,
he's not. They're going to put him on
But that's
LTIR, worst case.
But that's what I'm saying. If they
Or you
if
can
they
buy
can
him out.
successfully get
Or they buy
if
him
they
out,
can
yeah.
suc-
No,
they might
don't
buy
buy
him
out.
out at the
Don't buy out.
end of next
It's-
year before the next season. But
Yeah.
if Gallagher's contract is off the books, if let's say another contract like Savard potentially, I don't see that happening. But there are like Hoffman,
Hoffman, I
Dvorak.
would see that.
Hoffman has
Adam
1 year.
Hoffman is gonna.
Hoffman has
that's-
1 year left, and I have a feeling, not to cut you off, Chris, I have a feeling he's gonna go. They're gonna put him on waivers. And
Oh, yeah.
I hope they look.
There's
And
one
then-
year
No matter
left.
what no matter what they do, they have to get rid of these contracts, because if Kent Hughes successfully gets rid of these contracts, and that's why I'm saying lined up for a boring year and a year of giving away access, potentially even paying to get
Yeah.
rid of some of these players. But if they successfully do this, we're going to be talking to one another in about a year's time, minus maybe a month. And we're going to be talking about a Montreal Canadiens having anywhere between $15 to $25 million
Yeah. Yep.
in salary to go get those fucking top end players. So it's going to be a really exciting summer ahead.
Well,
But Kent Hughes
not
has
only
work
that,
to do this year.
but the thing is,
Yeah.
It depends.
I-
It depends how you pay Caden Gooley. It depends how you pay Yaroslav Koski. Like it's still way too early to talk about his contract, but it depends if you're gonna have to pay him.
No, they're not going to pay more than $6 million.
Is Montembeault going to be your goalie that you're going to pay maybe 3-4
Yeah.
at the end of this year? Like there's money there to pay guys properly, not overpay. You know, like if you're basing contracts off of what Suzuki and Caulfield are getting, then you could get a bit of an understanding how a guy like Gooley might get. Depends how Slavkovsky plays, what he might get, but you still have Kirby Doc locked for another 3 years. So yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, those contracts, like I said, Hoffman's a free agent at the end of this season. So like whatever, whether you trade him or send him the waivers, or even if you get nothing in return, you're getting $4 million cap hit back. Dvorak, Armia, I mean, their contract ends.
I don't mind those two, though.
Their contract ends next year. The thing about Yoel Armia, and I don't want to get off track here, it's like, what are we expecting from him? Like, he's a fourth line guy. Besides that, I think an NHL team would take him. A contending team would take him if you at 3 point whatever million is left at the end of his contract. Even if you retain half, you do that team a favor, retain half. But look, we're doing you this favor. Give us something in return that we could potentially use, whether it be a pick or a minor league player or whoever. These next 2 seasons, there's really gonna be. Now we're really going to see a new look for the Montreal Canadiens, and it already started.
And I really still see the fight for playoffs for some reason.
Dude, I'm telling you, and I know we're gonna have this conversation again. And if ever there's new listeners tuning in now and until then, we will be having this conversation. But so will the rest of the city. I solely believe it's 2 things: it's the play of Montembeault and it's the health of the players.
Health of the players.
Keep those 2 alive, we're making the playoffs.
Okay.
I might agree with you on that.